to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Barbara will now have roll call. Darlene Breckenridge here. Dennis M. Clark.
Here.
John L.
Here.
Donnie Jack.
Here.
L. Corey Sloan.
Here.
I will now entertain a motion to pass the minutes of the April 3rd, 2017 regular session and the April 10th, 2017 special session.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 5 in favor, 0 opposed. The next item on the agenda is going to be public participation. Anyone wishing to address the council, please step forward, state your name and address, and please write your name on the paper and on the podium up there. You will have 5 minutes to speak.
Hello. Evening, folks. My name is Steve Gallis. I am Vice President of Freedom Road Riders here in Cameron Crossroads. It is once again Motorcycle Awareness and You. And we are doing a ride this Saturday. The weather doesn't sound like it's going to be very good, but that's when we have it scheduled. We once again just like the city of Cameron to encourage us and be aware and address the problems that we have with people not wanting to watch out for motorcycles. And just like I said, on May the 2nd, we will be going down to Jeff City to address the governor down there. We used to do this as a proclamation ride, but being since they passed a law a few years ago that made the month of May Motorcycle Awareness and Youth, we don't have to proclaim it anymore. So we just let you know that we're going to do this Saturday, rain or shine. Be about probably about 1:15 we would like to be here at the City Hall and maybe receive something, and that we will take down to the Capitol and let them know that the city of Cameron is behind us in Motorcycle Awareness and Youth Month. That's more or less all I got to say. And most of you guys already know this because I've done this before. So,
We will have someone here at 1.
okay, appreciate it. Appreciate it. But like I said, we're going to read over McCorkle's and eat some lunch first and see what's going on. It may only be 1 or 2 of us, but if the weather's nice, we hope that it's a bunch of us.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate it very much, and you guys have a nice evening. I'll be home now.
In the theme of good news, I have some more to share. In 2012, some of you will remember that former Councilman Mark Carr pursued getting some trees for the city of Cameron. His son Andrew did this as an Eagle Scout project. It's my understanding that Dr. Carr spent the money to purchase well over 100 seedlings at that time. The trees were planted up in Willowbrook subdivision behind the water treatment plant by the concrete wall. Due to some drought, a lot of the trees died. The ones that did survive were transplanted at Rec Park, as well as out at the reservoir around the trail that we now have. I've been in touch with Drew Bontrager, and he put me in touch with, it's called MoLeaf or Relief, which is a state project, and trees can be purchased for free. Basically, I should rephrase that, they can be obtained for free. I have pursued that. 25 trees will arrive on Wednesday. I'm going to get them. That's the only caveat to this deal of free trees, is somebody has to go get them. These trees are 3.5 to 4 feet tall. They are not saplings, they're not seedlings. These are a little bigger tree. They should have a better survival rate than the really small ones. They will be planted in the same location. I've shared this with the city manager. They'll be planted in the same location. I've worked with the Boy Scouts, and there will be Boy Scouts who will help plant those as a community service project. Wednesday afternoon, if the weather is decent, when we get back with the trees, they will plant them. If not, they will be planted on Thursday afternoon after school. I invite anybody who wants to come help plant a tree to do so, and I hope to make this an annual project.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, we'll proceed to the city manager's report. Mark?
Thank you, Mayor. Zach, want to come up? We had a special recognition from the American Public Power Association. So
Back on March 31st, we were notified by the American Public Power Association that the City of Cameron was awarded a Certificate of Excellence in Reliability. This is something we take very seriously here at City of Cameron. I know Jay and his guys have been working on reducing outages, and in the past couple of years, we do have an outage tracking system that we use. We do use the E-Reliability Tracker provided by APBA. And with our AMI system, it makes that process a lot easier. We can now determine exactly down to the second how long we're out of power, exactly how many customers, who they were, where they're at, which line they're on, things like that. So it's made our reporting process a lot easier. And kind of what we found, like I said, when entering all this in, is that we stack up really well compared to the rest of the United States. So just to kind of give you a number here, our customer average interruption duration index, which is kind of the standard they use, for 2016 was 50.21 minutes. I think the national average is about 1.5 hours. So again, like I said, it's something we take a lot of pride in, and we work really hard at trimming trees and really to keep our system up in good shape, and it was nice to kind of be recognized for some of our work.
second item, Gil Drummond was at the last council meeting, had a concern about the code violation that occurred in 2013. I had a conversation on the phone with her, and that was all worked out, so I think she's satisfied. The Road Street project I'm going to skip because there's maybe some upcoming information on that later. The sewer project, we're going to do I think a walkthrough inspection is scheduled for Wednesday of this week with the engineer. That one's wrapping up at the plant, and the system worker, still some that get wrapped up there, but it's all nearly completed. The animal shelter project is currently scheduled for Thursday, May 4th. Head Start facility, nothing new to report there. I think everything's still going as planned. Tom Bliss, who was the executive at that at Mocan, has left to another position somewhere. And so there's going to be a transition, so hopefully that won't slow down the Head Start project too much, if at all. I'm sure somebody will need to be trained or gotten up to speed on that job, so hopefully that will not, it'll be a fairly seamless transition. Next, I have development projects, and have Terry Brummer here for his monthly report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council, clerk, Mr. Manager of the council. As you know, we talked about being here once a month to do a report. This is the month. Normally I would skip over some of the things that we have generally done, but because of Councilman Sloan's position, I think we'll just go over some of the quick ones and bring you up to date, sir. By the way, congratulations. We have a project we've been working on for a long time. It's a good project. I've actually worked with this company. Before I go any further, please let me explain. I do not put names with this. And sometimes we project on their shelf, which is common that I've worked with them before, and that's something they do. I have no reason why, but that's what they do. So we've got it pretty much just on a waiting period. The state still calls it a live project, that's KCDC, and so we'll just go with that. We had another project that came in from a consultant. It's for a distribution warehouse project. We haven't heard anything else back from that. Their main purpose, not main purpose, their main goal right now is to try to find an existing building. But they said that they didn't find that in the green site. Had another project, again, came from the National Site Selector, and it came through KCADC and the State of Missouri. They were looking for an existing building as well, but they didn't find that. They're looking at the green site, and I proposed the site that the city owns, which is right behind the Walmart building back there, that property. It's a pretty good sized project, but we haven't heard anything from them yet. We've had a considerable amount of retail look at us. We've had some, we're really putting on the back burner because they ask us questions and then they don't respond to the rest of the stuff. We do have a project, however, that has, I know this sounds weird, but I've been working on this project since I came to work here. And they have put their offer in on land. It's been accepted. They've signed the contract. They ran their phase one. Phase one showed a couple of problems, environmental problems on the property. And they suggested to run phase two, which they did. And they did find those problems, but they were below the limits of causing the problem. However, that problem isn't going away, and the source of the problem is not on the property, it's somewhere else. So we're going to have to deal with that down the road to get that stopped, because it's a leaching problem and it won't stop. I am happy to announce that they have accepted those reports. They've told the company that they will be buying that, and I think they'll be closing in mid-June. So all their due diligence has been done, and we don't anticipate any more problems there. We've been working with a new restaurant that is a national restaurant chain. It's a sit-down style restaurant, and that work continues. We have two other restaurants that we refer to as fast food type restaurants. We're dealing with them. Those are going to take a while, as they always do. But part of that's going to be due to some land development, things of that nature. We also talked to a big box. We're still working with that. My concern is that we're going to be short in the numbers for population. In the meantime, however, we have come across another, which you refer to as a big box, that would be very beneficial here. Those numbers are not near as high, and so we're working on that. Again, that would have to wait for the development, but we are in contact with them. I was approached by a consultant out of the east side of the state who needs about 2 acres of property. We've pinpointed that. We actually pinpointed one and it sold. And so we pinpointed another one, and we're working on that to see how that goes along. That would be a nice deal. One other project that Mark and Zach and I have been working on is a big project, a very large project that would go in a new industrial park. We initially chose not to respond because it's 16 pages, this isn't the reason to do this, but it's 16 pages of questions and 26 attachments, with several of them being multiple pages. They're very, very direct questions. The park's brand new, so obviously there's a lot of things that they want to have that is not there today. So we told them that. And last week, the state of Missouri called me back and said, look, I'd like for you to at least answer a few questions, put in some things to us, and we'll see what the consultant says, because he would like to, the acreage, he would like to see that. We did that, they responded as a national site selector. They responded back, asked that we put in full blown presentation to them, and we are doing that. Mark, Zach, and I are working together to get all the questions answered, the ones the city needs, the ones I know, and we have done that. I'm typing most of that up today and still getting stuff tomorrow. We turn it in Wednesday, and that would be a tremendous project for this area, all the way for everything. We were notified earlier this year that the VA clinic was wanting to relocate. And Kent Osborne and I went to visit them and to make sure that they didn't relocate somewhere other than here. We've been assured that they want to be here. Everything was rolling along pretty well. And in fact, they had a site identified, they took bids, thought they were going to do it. The guy running, this is where we are. So the guy running the project ups and quits, which throws everything back. And then they said, I've been notified by Joan, who's actually over the other guy. And he said, look, we've been instructed to open the bid again and to expand the territory, but the expansion of the territory is the city limits of Cameron. So we're in the process of trying to find other locations for that and/or building. We may identify both. And so that's what we're working on that. So it's been busy. I've noticed an uptick in prospects from the state, KCABC, which we belong to. One thing I desperately need is, last month we had a quarterly meeting with the council, EDOC, regarding incentives. And I put out a list of incentives I felt we needed. I need some action from council on those incentives. We have several projects right now that are going to require some of those incentives, and all of the industrial projects will require some of those. So I really, as a reminder, I really need to all take some action on that and get those answers back to me absolutely as soon as possible. I'll be glad to take any questions.
One thing too I'll mention is I met with Mayor Breckenridge the other day and then gave her a heads up on what I'd like to do on land pricing for this big project. And we'd like to get council approval at some point on that, but we have a number that we're going to go ahead and work with just to get it to keep us in the game. And then council can put that. I think it'll be a number everyone will be happy with. So, sounds like everything's going well on that. And another thing too to mention is when we have a project submitted, and they'll call that Project Husky, for example. We don't even know who that is. Terry may know at some point, or I may know once it gets, I won't know until it gets farther along in the project. And Terry won't know a few because they're not from KCABC. Those have come up, so when we say that, we're not keeping anything from anybody other than this contract. We don't know either. So some people look at me and they say, you don't know what's going on over here? And no, I don't, because I don't. So until we get farther along, I just want to let you know.
I actually had a project one time that we had no clue who they were, so we landed their plane. And tell who got the plane, tell them, so we did that.
And there are several reasons for that, and I know you know most of them,
We know this, the property that you said is kind of mid-June close. My assumption is they've already done phase 1, phase 2. They've already bought that property. Is that something, or I'm assuming
They
they
already bought.
bought the property?
No, that will be in June. They will
Oh, they will actually close
in
the
June.
property in June.
But they have signed the contracts, done everything else, but because of
Yeah.
legal matters,
No,
stuff, they're there till June. So that's what they're doing down there in Taney.
So we need to get an ordinance together on incentives or what? Or just need a basic okay or what?
I don't, other councils I've dealt with are not giving me an ordinance, but, it's always nice to have it, but they're ultimately flexible, so. It's your decision. I can do it.
Well, that's kind of what I understood is that, any decision you make, it all has to come back to council and we have to sort of all decide whether we want to go with it or not. Kind, but that's what I
On
thought.
some of it, we need the absolute authority to be able to say yes or no. So,
Well, I'd like to make a suggestion in that we get those incentives written down so that everybody can see them and then we can all come to decide on what we need to do.
And this is from the book, the original
Last
manual that you provided,
yes.
just the front couple pages, right?
But of course,
Yeah.
as it's.
Well, that's true.
So he kind of needs to be updated on that.
Mayor, I'd also like to ask for recommendations from staff and Mr. Bronner. Some of the stuff that they went over, I'm not all that knowledgeable on, so I'm looking to them for guidance.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
To finish up my report, Terry was there as well. We met with the property owners for the community improvement district at 36 in Griffin Road and had another meeting with them this week. And Patrick has been working with us on that as well, and so has Mike Reimer. So we've been helping these people all we can. It's really not the city's job to get too far involved, but we're going to help them as much as we can to get them, since they're business people, and get their consultant hired. They'll do that, hire one for their attorney and their management people, and let this thing take off, and then they can work out running their own businesses and let this thing get managed by a professional group so that it all keeps moving. That's our main goal, is to keep it moving. So it's looking good. We also have some other interest in retail that is very preliminary, and Terry and I have worked on that, and we'll release more of that too as it goes along. But pretty nice things that are popping up. So we don't know what someone will develop into, and some won't develop at all. At least it's out there. So that's all I have on my report.
Do you have any other questions or comments for Mark?
Just real quick, on the CID, how far down would that district go? Is it just going to be in that area, or is that something they write up and say it's going to go this far in either direction?
It's pretty limited to those businesses in
Just in
that
that
area.
Okay.
Yeah, we did look at a larger TDD type of area, but because of some other circumstances, we're going to break that off and look at that later. So it'll just be that.
You can add property to CID, so if, future property owners are interested in joining and they're contiguous to the current setup, they can be added and the property can begin to contribute to the CID. And all CID stuff, like the CID petition, the council has to approve. So you'll see a final draft of the petition, and then if any property is added or taken out, again, it has to come to the council.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions or comments, we'll move on to unfinished business. We will have a third reading of Bill 2017-7 on the third reading by roll call. Do I hear a motion? Did you read it?
Bill 2017-7, an ordinance for the city of Cameron, Clinton, DeKalb, and Caldwell counties, Missouri, authorizing a conditional use permit for David Roth, allowing an indoor archery range and retail sales at 1117 Bryan Road.
Do I hear a motion to pass Bill 2017-7 on the third reading by roll call?
Second.
Any discussion?
Nothing to add on that.
Seeing there is none, we will go ahead and vote.
Darlene Breckenridge.
Yes.
Dennis M. Clark.
Yes.
John R. Figert.
Yes.
Ronnie Jack.
Yes.
L. Corey
Yes.
We will have a second reading on Bill 2017-9.
Bill 2017-9, an ordinance changing the reference to the International Building Code 2015 and the National Electric Code 2017 in Section 3-16A, Section 3-16.1, 3-16.2, 3-16.3, 3-16.4, Article 2, Buildings, Section 381, Article 3, Plumbing Code, Section 3-101, Article 4, Electrical Code, Section 3-121, Article 5, Fire Prevention Code, Section 3-141, Article 6, Existing Structures Code, 3-201, Article 9, Property Maintenance Code of the City Code for the City of Cameron, Clinton, DeKalb, and Caldwell Counties, Missouri, and deleting reference to prior building codes.
I will entertain a motion to pass Bill 2017-9 on the second reading.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? Nothing to add? Okay. We will move on to proceed to vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Bill 2017-9, 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Okay, the next item is the second and final reading on Bill 2017-10.
Bill 2017-10, an ordinance authorizing an agreement by and between the City of Cameron, Clinton, DeKalb, and Caldwell Counties, Missouri, and the Cameron Dragonflies RC Model Club for the use of a portion of land at the Cameron Gridley Road closed landfill.
I will entertain a motion to pass Bill 2017-10 on the second reading.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Bill 2017-10 passes on the second reading, 5-0. I will now entertain a motion to pass Bill 2017-10 on the third reading by roll call.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none? Barbara?
Dennis M. Clark,
Yes.
John R. Fidert,
Yes.
Ronnie Jack,
Yes.
L. Corey Sloan,
Yes.
Darlene Breckenridge.
Yes. Bill 2017-10 passes on the third reading, on this final reading, 5-0. The next item on the agenda is the second and final reading of Bill 2017-11.
Mayor, I'm going to need to recuse myself on this.
Bill 2017-11, an ordinance authorizing the City of Cameron, Clinton, DeKalb, and Caldwell Counties, Missouri, to enter into a contract with the Cameron Municipal Band.
I will entertain a motion to pass Bill 2017-11 on the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Bill 2017-11 passes on the second reading, 4-0, 1 abstention. I will entertain a motion to pass Bill 2017-11 on the third reading by roll call.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? Seeing none, we will vote on by roll call.
John R. Fidert,
Yes.
Ronnie Jack,
Yes.
L. Corey Sloan,
Yes.
Darlene Breckenridge,
Yes.
Dennis M. Clark.
The third and final reading of Bill 2017-11 passes on the third reading with a 4-0 vote and 1 abstention. Since this is tabled to be
to bring it back.
Next item on the agenda is going to be the electrical rate discussion. I need a motion to remove it from the table.
So, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The table's been removed, it's 5-0. Okay, we can have some discussion on it.
Yeah, this was, we had a council committee meeting on this, I don't have the date in front of me. And Zach can give us a rundown of, what we presented at that meeting.
March 13th.
March 13th. Thank you.
Yeah, just kind of a recap of what was presented at that meeting. And I want to make sure that you have that information was provided to you.
Yes, clerk O'Connor, make sure I have that.
Okay.
Yes.
And a copy here just in case you didn't have that. So
And I reviewed it, so thank you.
Okay. Again, like I said, we just kind of went through some of the basic information regarding the electric department. I had copies of our current rate sheets, kind of show what our current rates are, along with our current revenue for the 2016-2017 year. And then kind of we had a little breakdown showing the breakdown of our cost per kilowatt, kind of exactly what we charge per kilowatt, what that actually goes to pay for. And again, of course, the big portion of that, over 2/3 of that is the wholesale purchase power. And I think that was kind of the reason for our last rate increase, was because that was where our increase was. It was on the wholesale cost of power. So that's kind of what made the decision to pass that on. Because like I said, you can see of that piece of pie, there's very little portion that we can actually control. And so like I said, especially when you add in the 2% of the debt service, like I said, then we're down to a small portion that we can actually control that's within our means to control. So that was kind of the basis for the last increase, is why we decided to pass that on. Again, also provide some information showing comparing rates from the city of Cameron to the surrounding areas. Like I said, we are extremely competitive. Only Clay being the only one around here that offers a cheaper residential rate, which I thought was very good. Again, all this information was provided by the Department of Energy. Like I said, our commercial rate is competitive. There are a few cheaper, but it is competitive. Like I said, we are pretty competitive on our industrial rates as well. So, again, like I said, then I just have some other information regarding the general fund. Shows that again, the largest revenue source for the general fund is actually the transfer from other departments, and that includes the utility fund. So, utility rates, like I said, they do provide some support for the general fund, and also there's a graph that kind of showing what percentage of the general fund departments, what percentage of those are actually funded through our utilities. So, again, like I said, rate increases aren't a popular decision, but I think they are necessary. Like I said, with this one being a relatively small increase, it was strictly on our wholesale costs. I think it was definitely staff's recommendation to pass that on to the customers. Like I said, as the cost of business increases, we try to control our costs as much as possible. Like I said, when we get those costs from outside factors, if you have any questions or need additional information, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Another thing worth mentioning is, at least historically, for the last 11 years, 12 years that I've been here, if we get an increase from Black Clay for the next year, it comes in April. We're now in April. I have not heard anything. I'm taking that as good news, but they don't always get it to us that quickly. We may not have a rate increase at all this year, which would be great on our end. But it's more often than not that there is an increase, but thankfully they have been relatively small increases throughout the time. I think the biggest I remember is 4%. So we've been fortunate in that respect too. So hopefully we won't get one coming up real soon. We'll know here in the next few weeks probably. If they have a new CEO now, so I don't know if that practice will remain the same, but just to let you know that it could be in the works.
Madam Mayor, I have a couple of questions. $1 increase in wholesale power for the city of Cameron. What was that actual raw number? What was our increase that we incurred from Black Clay Electric?
It was a percentage increase based on, and it wasn't on the cost of energy, it was on, the demand side. So it was a fixed cost of about 1.4%.
Okay, so 1.4% is what the increase was. And that was on the expenditure side?
That was on the demand side.
Demand side. Okay. All right. At what point did the city of Cameron, commercial and residential customers begin seeing that rate increase? As I found it, I believe it was sometime in early fall, right around September, if I remember right.
I have to go back and look and see, it would have been after the last reading.
We've never gone retroactively, so we're always, if they send us a month, if we're a month late from the get-go, so we lose that extra month difference automatically. So, but it was after that, I don't know.
The final reading for 2016-20 was actually done on the 16th day of May 2016.
So that means it probably would have been on the July 1 bill. I'd have to go back and check that, but
And I'm asking a lot of questions tonight.
That's
Mr.
fine.
Johnson, that I don't expect you to know the answer to, because you weren't aware of the question I was going to ask. But it's something I would be interested in hearing at our next council meeting in May. So continuing on that same line, under the assumption, again, I'm not going to hold you to the July 1 date, but whenever that was passed on to our residential and commercial customers, do we have the raw data on what it was charged to our residential and commercial customers from the date the increase took effect through the in other words, what revenue was generated from that increase?
I don't have that in my fingertips, but that's something that we could calculate the additional revenue from the rate increase.
Would that be something you could have for us for the next council meeting, or you need some more time? I won't give you the time that you need.
No, I can get that for you prior to the next meeting.
Okay. And continuing on this line of questioning, when we did the actual vote to raise the rates because of the purchase of wholesale power with Bill 2016-20, did we do a cost versus benefit study and a feasibility study on the reason for that rate increase and the impact it would have on our community as far as residential and commercial customers? There was not one done?
No.
We just do those on market increases, because it's expensive.
Yes, I'm sure. Okay. So roughly, do you have, one item that I don't have data on is the power purchase is the final number, the actual number for budget year 2015, 2016. And I understand that we obviously start working on our budget sometime in May and June, and council votes on it in August, that it can go into effect for the new budget year. So all I have available to me at this particular point is the estimated amount that was listed at $5,575,000. So if we could come up with the actual, like we did in 2014 and 2015, the actual was $5,562,639.18. I wouldn't mind seeing, I would like to see the 2015, 2016 actual, because I want to compare it to what the budget was for 2016 and 2017, which was $5,675,000 each.
Yeah, like I said, that's, yeah, like I said, that would be hard to get that forward.
And a lot of questions, and my final question, Madam Mayor, if I may, is one of the questions that I was asked as I ran for council, and I heard from many residential and commercial customers of ours, and obviously I believe it was a December bill, was of a great concern. I know you've taken a lot of questions and inquiries from it and that type of thing. And the question that I have from my background in atmospheric science, in working on the revenue expenditure side of the department at the city of Cameron, is I'm struggling with understanding how a generalized climatological phenomenon, in other words, where there were some days that were above and below average, resulted in localized electric rate increases for our residential and commercial customers. I'm really struggling with that. I mean, from a common sense show you where, these are my rates. These are my bills from the same time period. And I looked back and I reviewed those and I researched them, and there was no change. So it's really hard for me as an elected representative for our city to explain how there was 2 and 3 times increases and potentially even 4 times I was told. I wasn't able to see that particular data, so that's supposition on my part. It's really hard for me as an elected council member to go back to our citizens and explain to them how generalized phenomena create a localized issue. So I would like to see the research and the methodology used to come to that conclusion.
Yeah, and again, that simply goes back to look at the temperature data for that time period.
I did. I did.
And if you saw that it was significantly colder than previous Decembers.
I wouldn't say that, no. And having 29 years of experience in looking at climatological data, I would have to disagree. We can agree to disagree, absolutely.
Yeah, like I said, I would disagree with that.
Sure.
But, like I said, and we did talk to a lot of individuals about that.
This is not some other utilities, too. It wasn't just Cameron.
It did. It was just a lot higher here, and that was my question.
Like I said, we did talk to a lot of individuals. We did go through a lot of individual accounts. Again, I saw nothing wrong with the information that we were getting. Like I said, we did talk to the individual that had questions, concerned. We went over their bill, looked at their situations. And again, I did not come across one that I felt was inaccurate.
Right, and no, by any means, don't feel like it's a question. Sure. And you can bring that back to that. I don't expect the answer tonight. But the question, again, I'll reiterate, is the generalized climatological phenomena, which we had. We can go back and look at a 3 and 5 year trend, which is probably a good way to do it. It'd be entirely up to you. I'm not going to micromanage you.
And that was something that we initially.
Let me finish my question. That was our guy. Generalized climatological phenomena resulted in localized electric rate increases instead of generalized rate increases across the city. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, like I said, I know there wasn't individual rate increases. I guess that didn't ever change. But one of the first things we did is we went and we compared to our wholesale bills to make sure that, wait a minute, did we actually buy more power? And we actually did, and there was a correlation there. So.
Okay, and that would be information that I would definitely want to see. Absolutely. So I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And again, you're not on trial. I have a lot of questions on the duties on the council.
Not a problem.
We'll give you time to work on it.
All right, sounds good.
Madam Mayor, thank you.
Ronnie?
I don't have all the data here or anything else. The only thing I know is what I saw last year. We didn't even get our ice rink out last year ago. It never got cold enough. And this year, we had froze in December when this was all taking place. Now, looking at it by eyeball, not looking at statistics, it was a colder December because, like I said, they did get the ice skate rink out, and it was frozen in December. So, and like I said, the year before, it was not that cold. To me, that looks like it was a colder December. And I know my building house was up, the shop, it doesn't change much year round, but it was up a little bit, and not anything crazy. Just Tracy, just review.
Fire away.
You knew you were going to
I think so.
Okay, so a couple of things, thinking through. I know we had talked about energy audits in the past, and actually I had a concerned citizen provide me some information as well. I think it might be time to go ahead and get that out there. I'm not sure about December being colder or not. What I did when people called me, I just said, find your most expensive bill and tell me what it was. It was usually summer, and then they would say it's 2 or 3 times. So I wasn't worried about December being colder or hot. It's a good way to look at it, but I hadn't thought about doing it that way. But I would like to see, is there a way we can do some energy audits at a reduced cost? If we've got a certain number of people that would commit and wanted to have these audits, maybe we could provide that at a little bit of a discount, help out our citizens that we're hitting hardest.
Yeah, we've looked into that. We can do that. We can get some assistance with that.
Okay, that would be awesome. The second thing I'd like to look at is just, how often do we have, I know I've talked to you about the smart meters. That's a big concern with a lot of people. And how often do they come back to the community and do an audit themselves? I don't want our citizens to have to keep paying to have an audit to check and see, is it us, is it them? Just saying the company that provided it to us, they should give us some sort of customer service to come back out and just do periodic, sporadic.
Yeah, I don't think that would be an issue. I mean, typically what we would like to see, we'd like to see a 10-year meter exchange where we exchange meters out every 10 years.
Okay.
Now, what we're kind of struggling with getting started with that is, in order to get started, we're going to have to go out and replace some meters that aren't 10 years old because we put in all new meters. But to keep us from having to go out and put in all new meters again in 10 years, here in a couple of years, we're going to have to replace some meters that aren't that old. I would say at that time, we will probably do some bench tests, send some off for caliber for test to ensure accuracy. That's something that we can do at any time. I think there's a pull. There's just a cost to it.
Well, why aren't we with the company, when they're selling this to us, why don't we just have it set up in the agreement that we're gonna have, 3% of the entire population will come out, we'll have them do an audit.
I have to see what the agreement on the Itron meter is. I would assume that the warranty's going to be at least for 10 years, but I'll have to check on that.
I'm not even necessarily talking about the warranty, because the warranty would just be if it breaks. I'm just saying, is there some way for them to come out and check? If someone says, hey, it's 3 times higher this month, and rather than saying, okay, you're gonna have to pay for it for us to go do this audit, I'm just saying, maybe this is one of those where if it's way out of whack, we ask them to come in and check.
Right, yeah, and like I said, I don't know, I'll have to check it and find out. That's something that we could look into.
Yeah, the accuracy would be part of the warranty. It's the same.
Oh, it would be part of the warranty.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're guaranteed a certain amount of accuracy.
Gotcha. And like I said, we sent a few off, water meters, electric meters. Every time they've always come back at 99.97%. So I mean, they're relatively close.
Okay.
But I'll ask and see about.
Okay.
As a lifelong resident, I can remember when the electric here was not reliable at all. And you would get a gust of wind and all of a sudden we're out and could be for some time. So I appreciate the fact that the electric department has put so much work into that. I'm a believer that, electric is something we can't provide ourselves. So we need to have, in my view, a department, and that goes across the board, whether it's electric or not, that has solid reserves and has good streams of income so that they can provide the quality of service that our citizens deserve. Another possibility that we might look at is if somebody has a meter and it's 3 or 4 times, just pull it out and put a different one in, and then send it in to be checked. We're not interested in taking advantage or gouging anybody. So, anyway, I appreciate those comments. Thank you.
And I'd like to, Councilman Parks, with Director Urban and his group, did an outstanding, and also the lifelong residents, I remember when we would have power to go out, so they did a very nice, do a good job of trim trees and that. That's our plan today.
Necessary.
Okay, we're going to vote this. Okay.
Yeah, I would like to see more information, questions and answers to the director, at the end of this. If you need more time, by all means, ask. Okay. All right. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, the next item is new business. We need to certify the delinquent taxes and approve the abatement list. We did that by the review, I'm sure you all will be in the motion. I did do a comparison, and each year they seem to come down, but they're still large. The real estate taxes, we don't worry as much about because after 3 years, if they're not paid, then
every year, or for 3 years, they come in and pay the oldest year, it's an awful tax sale, but then the next year it's delinquent again. So we have people that work the system, so to speak, with that. The abatements for personal property, if they have not had taxes assessed in 3 consecutive years, we write them off. Now, sometimes we run into, and you'll see several different names with several more years than that. They might be here a couple, 3 years, and then somehow they get off the tax roll a couple years, and then they're back on. So staff is pretty diligent about trying to track those and make sure, you know, we're up to date on it. The personal property is a little harder to collect. We used to have city stickers, and those were done away with a number of years ago. And when we had city stickers, they had to pay their city taxes to get that city sticker. That's something that would have to go to the vote of the people to be reinstated. But the personal property is harder to collect. And if anybody has any suggestions on a way to do that, I'm all ears. And by state statute, I'm required to certify to you and to all the counties that we're in. So that's as of April 1. So that's the information you have before you.
And we need a motion on that.
Yes, please.
I need a motion to certify the delinquent taxes and approve the abatement list.
So,
Second.
All those in favor? Or discussion? Discussion?
I would add one thing. We did put a notice in the paper that the publication would be made, and that usually gets a little flurry of activity with people coming in and paying.
Well, that's what, yeah, I'm kind of going through there and I'm going, Facebook, see them running around.
And if
So,
there is a business listed on there, they have to have their taxes paid to get their occupation license. So
Right.
that will be taken, those will be taken care of at that time.
So this is
Send
only-
those out.
And so is this only if they come in that we're trying to get the tax relief sending out a couple of notifications as well?
There's notices 2 times a
2
year,
times?
every year.
Okay.
If you've got 2 years delinquent, you get 4 notices.
Okay, we're ready to vote. All those in favor of certifying the delinquent taxes and approving the abatement list?
Aye.
All those opposed? 5 in favor, 0 opposed. It is now time for the second public participation. The rules apply as before. Come forward, state your name and address, and write your name and address on the paper. You'll have 5 minutes. Seeing none, we'll move on to miscellaneous. Barbara?
I want to make sure that you all got the email that was sent out of the sign committee list that Mayor Breckenridge has set up for the coming year. I want to make sure everybody can get that list. So, thank you.
Jenny?
I want to thank David for taking ownership of the community, stepping up, making things happen. That work will last for many decades. So I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you. Also, welcome to Councilman Sloan. Okay, that's it for me.
I just wanted to quickly state, thank you to Von Traeger, Mr. Drew Von Traeger, and the street crew. Apparently they've gotten out and started working on Ashland Drive a little bit here and there. And I did hear from one of our citizens that they had kind of smoothed that out, so, not that it's perfect, but it's a lot better than it was, so. You see her?
No, he's in another meeting. He has a
Okay.
meeting.
Okay, I didn't think I saw him, so, anyway, just, if, maybe you could pass that along.
Yep, sure will.
Thanks, and, that's it for me, thank you so much.
Corey?
I echo the same comments about Mr. Montrigger. I also had several folks talk to me about Ashland Drive, and they were taking care of things, so please pass on my thanks. Mr. Gallus has already left, so I'm unable to thank him directly, but, Motorcycle Awareness Month, I believe, is coming up in May, and, it's kind of personal to me because I lost a dear friend to a motorcycle accident, from us being unaware of them being out and about. And then this last Friday, a very dear friend of mine lost his high school best friend and his wife on their 2nd anniversary. So we need to do our of this to our community, and I'm pleased that the council is supporting it. Also, Nana, thank you. Councilman Clark has also said that, and I echo his sentiments. Thank you very much for taking ownership in that and making that happen, because that's a big deal to our community. And the last thing is, I also saw the committee appointments. The only thing I had a question on, who's our community development developer?
Well, that's not, yeah, we don't know.
We don't know
Yeah.
yet? Okay, so that's the process that we're going through?
Oh, who is, yeah, I have someone starting hopefully mid-May, so yeah, soon I'll be coming out with something.
Okay, so
Just
that's
wrapping all that up right now. Yes.
Oh, okay, all right, very good, all right. And great attendance tonight, thank you. That's all I have.
Ronnie?
No, thank you, Ed. Good job. Be something we'll show for a lot of years. That's what Carter named each one of us, said that
Sad that six trees are so sensitive.
Yeah, same thing. Watch out for motorcycles, not just in May, year round.
Yeah, that's a good point. I used to ride, I rode bikes for most of my life, and one thing that I was terrified of in the fall in this part of the country, rain spills from trucks turning going around corners. Man, you hit that stuff and you're gone, you're down. So it's always a threat out there. I don't have anything else.
Okay. Fire chief?
Go ahead.
Paul? Can't see around the corner, I don't know, but anything, chief?
No thanks.
Zach?
No, ma'am.
Earl? Anything in the water, electric? Counselor? I just want to concur with the other